Hey everybody, welcome back to the most amazing podcast ever. It's episode what?
30.
Woo,
Dirty 30.
Oh, I forgot when I turned 30. It was 9 years ago. Boom, boom. We're a little defeated today. Well, no, we're not defeated.
We're not defeated.
We conquered 1 hour and 18 minutes of technical delays.
Oh my God. Program updates. Make sure your software is always up to date.
Always check for updates because things sometimes don't tell you. They're not as smart as a Tesla. But welcome back to our milestone episode 30. Can you believe it? In just a couple of months, here we are.
In just a couple of months, it'll be what?
We're here at episode 30 already.
Yeah. It's not even been a year and we're doing good things. We recently put out a short video about our milestones.
Yes, over 2,000 downloads.
Yes, and over 30 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, don't laugh. It's big for us. We actually just really started uploading our pods on there maybe, I don't know, a month ago.
Sure.
So it really hasn't been that much.
It hasn't been that long. And all of season one kind of went up at the same time, kind of.
Yeah, it was way beyond season 1.
Yeah.
It was after we launched season 2, I think.
Yeah, it was.
So,
and then we started to put them up when this goes out to everybody else. So
yeah, we have some that are over 100 views. And once again, we thought 10 people. And here we are. And now we're focused on hopefully growing some more.
Yeah.
So share us.
Yeah, share us with your friends, coworkers, if they like this kind of thing.
Right. And if you're new here, my name is Manny.
And I'm Shawn.
And we form the Moss Podcast. Sometimes we do start right away and we forget the intro. It's like any good talk show,
I mean, you got to have some banter and filler in the beginning of the show.
Yeah, fill that shit. Mixing it.
All right, Ari. Let's do what we came to do.
Well, thank you again. If you're back as a continuing listener, we always appreciate you whenever you get the opportunity to take some time out of your day and listen to us. And hello to all our new listeners that might be out there.
Hi and welcome.
This week concludes Women's History Month for us. And if you've been listening, we've covered a couple of figures in the LGBTQ community that have been figures of Women's History Month. But this week, we're just going to say thank you for all the great women out there that are fighting for justice, fighting for equality, all those good things, all of y'all that are out there fighting for all the communities that need that fight. We say thank you and honor you.
Thank you so much.
Right. And women who are trying to take rights away from other communities, we say fuck you. And I'm looking at you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. So if you're new here, we have a standing issue every week.
An issue on the table,
on the table, which we will go into after we tell you about how we're doing this week. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been busy with work this week. Thankfully, got some projects done that continue to come to my desk with revisions. But other than that, this week has been pretty good. And, just trying to focus mentally on being better. How are you doing?
Well, this week has been utter shit. I was tired for the first 3 days, like really tired, like falling asleep tired. And people had some of the most craziest requests at work. And people were extra rude this week. And I can't say fuck you to them on the phone because I need my job.
Yeah, that's true. Don't do that.
Yeah. So on this podcast, I say fuck you to the people who are rude to me. Is that cool?
It's super cool.
Yeah. And we're tired. Well, I was tired because we did just return from our second Virgin voyage.
We did.
So was it just as good as the first time for you?
It was.
Or was it like a bad lay? Only once, don't repeat.
No, it was just as good. It was just the ship was fuller this time.
Yes.
Because last time we got on, there was only around 900 passengers. And this time it was more like
2,700.
Yeah.
Somebody said 2,400, but we saw a travel agent say it was completely sold out. So that would be 2,700.
So that was the only difference. As far as like service goes or entertainment, I felt like things were pretty much the same. It might have taken a little longer for food in some places, but the food is made to order and it came out hot.
Right. So I didn't mind when my food was hot.
Same.
So, but do look out for a very special YouTube episode of our podcast. It'll be an actual podcast episode.
An actual video podcast?
Sure, whatever we want to call that. Do we want to give it a different name?
I don't think so. I think, sure, go ahead.
We'll figure that out.
More details to come.
So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube, it's a great time to go over there and hit that little subscribe button. We're going to break it up into 2 videos for you. So
maybe even 3.
Maybe even 3. We want to make it digestible, and we want to make you Virgin fans just like us. And Virgin Voyages, if you're listening, we are ready and able to sign a contract to become your official podcasters. Ouch.
Are you okay?
Yes. Who put the desk there?
You did.
Oh, sorry. Anyways, but if you're new here, this is the excitement that happens here on a daily. So please enjoy. But like I said, we have a consistent format now with our podcast. And I think we're going to jump right into our issue on the table.
The table. Yeah.
Don't do that. And if you're new here, also, we will sing that as most annoying as possible and in many different ways because that's who we are.
I can't.
So we have 2 issues on the table today. One of them we weren't going to really talk about, but then we're like, we can't not talk about it because why? Here we are again. Another day. Another mass shooting in the United States of America.
It is a nonstop shoot 'em up gun party over here, girl.
I mean, it is March 31st today, and there's been 130 mass shootings in the U.S. so far. I haven't watched the news today. Anything happen today?
Probably. Do you know that like most of the time don't make the news?
Yeah.
Because it's such a common thing at this point.
Yeah, it has to be like superly bad.
Like this one was children, so of course everyone's gonna the media is gonna run with that because it was a school shooting, and these were basically elementary school kids. So
I can't. You know, I was reading that the U.S. doesn't really have a definition for mass shootings.
They don't have a definition for it?
They don't have a set, single definition.
Okay.
But a database that we'll be using today for this conversation, Gun Violence Archives. They define a mass shooting as an incident in which 4 or more people are injured or killed.
Okay, that makes sense.
I also saw another one that was 3 or more, but the data we'll be using today is 4 or more.
I mean, you have to kill at least 3 people to be a serial killer. So,
listen, I didn't know what to talk about on this. I just knew we had to probably address it. We're going to do it on a smaller scale, but we did make it an issue on the table because it's ridiculous at this point. Like, we're so desensitized.
Desensitized?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
My tongue today has not been working with
Say
me.
twisty treat.
Twisted treat.
Sorry, anyway, this is a serious
I
subject.
should probably go to the hospital. Maybe I had a stroke. No, it is a serious topic, but it's so like, I feel like we're here every other day.
Agreed. I mean, it's the same thing. There's a mass shooting happens. Whatever
Thoughts and prayers.
Whatever state it is, we send our thoughts and prayers. Whoever the governor is, or whatever House representative, or whoever it is from that state, they come out, they make a speech, we blah, 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 blah. Anytime somebody tries to bring up gun lobbying, they're like, this is not the time. But when is the time, girl? We bring it up at this time because a mass shooting happened. I think it's the perfect time to talk about guns.
Well, and they do have their debates on the floor, and then it just fizzles out. And we turn our attention to transgender rights, gays, drag queens, and abortion.
Well, I mean, that's the real reason I wanted to talk about this, because the right wasted no time in turning this into a trans bash session. I don't want to misgender this killer, and you can feel how you want to feel about that. But she was a 29-year-old woman who had previously been a student at that Catholic school, who had recently come out as transgendered. So as far as I know, wasn't taking any testosterone, wasn't taking any shots, had recently come out to her family.
Right. Well, usually when people, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know personally a transgender person, but I feel like it's a progression. Like, your first step is you come out.
Right.
You, at that point, you haven't probably gone the length to be involved medically. You're just taking that first brave step.
Right.
To say, this is who I am.
And most people, like, that is how it goes. You come out, you may tell your family or close friends if you prefer them to call you by a certain pronoun name now, or a different name altogether. Mm-hmm. But you usually haven't gone to the steps to begin transitioning, because for some people, transitioning isn't what they want to do. Right?
Right.
It's a different process for everyone.
They may not want to do it. They're saving the funds to do it. It's not a cheap process.
Yeah.
So to make that insane assumption that Marjorie Taylor Greene did you get to that point?
Oh, no, I was getting there.
Oh, sorry.
But we can go ahead.
Just wanted to jump into the pickle juice.
So basically, her and Don Jr. hopped on Twitter as quick as their little Twitter fingers could take them. And basically, Marjorie tweeted, "How much hormones like testosterone and medications for mental illness was the transgender Nashville school shooter taking? ? Next sentence, everyone can stop blaming guns now."
All these years of mass shootings, we have just solved it on one incident.
No, I know I told y'all last week, or we didn't have one, but the last pod, where it's mean things, and they still mean things.
They will always mean things.
They will always mean things. So for one, you don't even know this person. You just when they said that this person had recently come out as trans, you just ran with that. Didn't have any facts, any kind of information. You just ran with it.
It speaks to their base.
It does. You don't know diddly squat about this young person. And to automatically blame it on testosterone, or if they were taking hormones or medication, or say that they were mentally ill, that you quickly jump to conclusions. And what you're doing is putting out misinformation, and you know what you're doing because you already beat down on trans people.
She exactly knows what she's doing.
And this is just another, I hate to use the term, but this is just another bullet in the chamber for you to start taking shots at them.
Right. Because they're so hot on taking away transgender care that now that there's a shooting that happens to be a transgender person, they're like, oh, this is great. Now we can use that to tell you, see, they are a danger to you. We have a concrete evidence now.
Right.
So that's how they see it from their point, which is absolutely absurd in my own unbiased opinion.
Now, you dug out some facts on gun shootings that have happened in America. So I didn't know that Marjorie Taylor Greene has a second personal Twitter account.
Oh, yeah, she has her congressional and then her.
Yeah.
personal.
So apparently she also wrote, the female Nashville shooter identified as a man. So shouldn't we just blame white men again? And to that, I kind of agree with you, ma'am. Yes, we should blame white men again because a majority of mass shooters are white men.
Yeah. I mean, the data speaks for itself. Since 1996, the Violence Project has kept a record of all their mass shootings here in the U.S., and it showed that 97% of mass shooters are male. 97. Let that just settle on into your brain, Marjorie Taylor. And I know there's not a lot up there. It goes on to say that because didn't she spread some misinformation about multiple transgender people in mass shootings?
No, that was the next person on my list.
Oh, well, this was not planned the way it's flowing, but go ahead.
But that was Don Jr., who also is dumb as a box of rocks. But I think
he's dumber than Donald.
I mean, the only kid that I feel like has any common sense is Ivanka. But sometimes I look at her and like, girl, why are you still here? Anyway.
The money.
Don Jr. said, given the incredible rise of trans and non-binary mass shooters in the last few years, once again, didn't check your facts, by far the largest group committing as a percentage of population. Maybe rather than talking about guns, we should be talking about lunatics pushing their gender-affirming bullshit on our kids. Woo!
I mean, what is it like to live in his brain?
I don't know what it's like to live in most of their brains. I feel like they're on acid all the time because they see the world in a totally different way than the rest of us do.
They're on those shrooms.
First of all, sir, the largest group committing as a percentage of the population. So by those accounts, since the trans community is so small, and by your research, you said there's been one person.
According to the Violence Project or Gun Violence Project, only one transgender person, and it's this individual from this most recent. And this goes with data far stretching to 1996.
Now, I don't have his other tweet here, but I do remember him saying there was 4 other transgender shootings, which just does not seem to be the case.
The data does not support that. And the Violence Project uses multiple sources of data. I believe it's like the CDC, and there's a whole methodology that they use.
Yeah.
And we will put that link there for all of y'all that doubt us. You can go see it for yourself. There's a nice graphic that shows every gender that has been involved in a mass shooting. And, it's primarily males.
It amazes me that so many people on the left went immediately to attacking trans. Like, I know it's the community.
Wait, you said the left.
Oh, I'm sorry. The right. It amazes me that it doesn't really amaze me because that's what your new thing is, right? Trans and drag.
Oh, I'm sure they were super excited to know this person was trans because it led right into the narrative they've been tracking since CPAC.
Foaming at the mouth to do so. So Charlie Kirk is the founder of a right-wing youth group called Turning Point. He tweeted, instead of banning assault rifles, we should ban gender-affirming care for kids. I keep telling y'all that we don't want to take away your guns. We feel like people should have guns. You should be able to protect your family. You should be able to have a weapon in your home to feel safe if that was what helps you. Guns are still the problem. Assault rifles are still a problem. No one needs a gun that fires 50 bullets within a few seconds. It doesn't make any sense.
No. And, Republicans love a Ronald Reagan, don't they?
They do.
And this came up today It was a speech Ronald Reagan did in 1989 where he affirmed on stage that he believes in your right to own a gun.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to take away your guns.
Mm-mm.
He supports it for hunting, sporting events, and protecting your house. But he does believe that an AK-47, a machine gun, is not a sporting weapon or needed for the defense of the home.
And what we're saying...
And this is a Republican, one who's very well regarded.
Right. One that they respect.
Correct.
Saying what we've been saying, you don't need assault rifles.
And that's all we're saying. You don't need an assault rifle.
We take away gender-affirming care, and you think mass shootings are going to stop tomorrow?
No. Because the data says only one person. Only one trans person.
But we can stop blaming guns now because we found the one person.
It has been years of mass shootings, and it took us till 2023 to figure it out.
It's the trans.
The one trans person.
Got it.
She has orchestrated all these mass shootings.
Like, do y'all hear yourselves?
I'm being sarcastic here, people. Don't take that and run with it.
Do you hear yourselves and how dumb you sound?
I mean, I feel dumb saying it. It's wild, and the conversation, you don't know where to go with it anymore because we just in circles and circles and circles and circles and circles, and nothing gets done because these right-wing extremists depend so much on the money that fizzles in from the NRA.
Right. And here we go. State after state after state, mostly Republican, are starting to get away or do away with permits here in Florida. Red flag laws, because this young lady, if they had still had their red flag law in place, would have been flagged.
Right.
But she went to 3 different stores and purchased 7 guns.
And she bought them legally.
And bought them legally. So once again, yes, there is a mental health crisis out here for a lot of people, but
before we go too far, we may have listeners that don't know this whole American like NRA and red flags. Okay. So NRA here in the United States is the National Rifle Association, which governs and pushes legislation for gun ownership and gets into the pockets of extreme Republicans and feeds them money to run their campaigns, where in turn they support whatever the NRA wants.
Yeah.
And then red flag laws.
Red flag laws are basically put in place so that if an individual has had any type of mental health treatment on record, or I forget, if you've been in like a hospital or some sort of institution, like you will be flagged. Like they can either stop you from purchasing a gun, or you have to wait a certain period and be approved to purchase a gun. But it's basically there to stop individuals that could be either a danger to themselves or other people from purchasing a weapon.
Right. Can't they take them away too?
They can.
Okay. Which is, I think, where you were headed.
Yeah. The one in Tennessee got appealed or taken away. So she was able to just walk in there, like you said, legally purchase a gun. She would have been stopped because she was on the list. She was in an institution before, and they would have ran that check and would have been like, sorry, we can't sell this to you.
Right. And that's the other thing. It's like, so then people may argue, like, look, she bought it legally. Mm-hmm. That's fine. She bought it legally. She went through the process. I wouldn't say that it's much of a process.
It's not.
In the state of Tennessee or most red-wing states, it's pretty easy to buy a gun. But at the end of the day, she was able to buy a high caliber semi-automatic rifle, which is not needed, which is what we've always said. Like the danger of a semi-automatic, not only for the people that are being attacked, but for any law enforcement that's coming in to secure the area, it's a danger to them as well.
Yeah.
And a semi-automatic fighting with another semi-automatic is war. Right. It's like being in a war zone. There's no need for this type of gun in our country, period. The only exceptions I would say is the military, because our enemies are probably going to load up with much stronger guns than just pistols. So I understand the need there with the military, even though I'm not a proponent of war. But nobody in this country should own that gun for nothing.
I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Most people that are running around with AK-47s are criminals or drug dealers or gangs or people who feel like they have the ones that have extensive gun collections. I don't know why you need more than 3 guns, honestly, in your house.
Right. Because if a gun was what it's meant to be for, protecting
right, for
your home and then hunting, you probably only need 1, maybe a handgun to protect your house, and 2, maybe a sporting gun, not a rifle, but maybe a shotgun. I don't hunt, so I don't know. But also, I don't think you're shooting deer with a semi-automatic rifle, because doesn't that like spoil the meat?
Yeah, you just shooting the meat. You tearing the meat out of the pieces.
Right. So I'm like, so I don't know if you really use that in a hunting. Like, there's just no need for it.
There's no need.
It is a military caliber machine.
And a lot of times, innocent people are the ones that wind up dying. Because as my mom has always said, a bullet doesn't have a name.
No. Especially on a semi-automatic. We've got 100 bullets. It's like spraying out like a water gun.
You don't know who you're hitting.
Exactly. There's just absolutely no need. And it's just infuriating that the other side does not understand. I am not saying, you're not saying, take away people's guns.
No.
We're saying there's no need for a certain type of gun in anybody's house, especially with lack of training on how to use them. And there needs to be more oversight on these guns. Like, I'm going to use the example, and I think I've said it here before when we talked about another mass shooting, is medical marijuana in Florida requires you to renew your permit every year.
Mm-hmm.
You're required to visit a doctor twice a year to maintain your prescription to have medical marijuana. That's just marijuana. And I know marijuana can kill if somebody is under the influence, yada, yada, yada. But how does medical marijuana have more oversight, which I would compare marijuana to alcohol, has more oversight than gun ownership in this country?
I don't know. It is crazy.
A gun can kill more people.
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying that, be marijuana and kill people. Just what I'm saying is it just doesn't make sense where the oversight lays when it comes to guns and other things in our country.
It doesn't. And the kicker is like anyone can walk in, buy a gun. Well, if you're a legal age, most of the time you don't have to take a class. They don't ask you know how to use it. They just sell you a gun.
Yeah.
And the one thing that other side keeps saying is we need more good guys with guns. No, we don't.
Well, and that's what Marjorie was saying in her argument, was that a good guy with a gun stopped it. And I'm like, yeah, it's called a
police officer.
Those are, for the most part, trained individuals to handle those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can say that loosely too. But like, those are the people, if any, that should have a gun.
Right.
Of a large caliber.
Right.
And I don't understand the argument either. I know a good guy with a gun, a good guy with a gun. I'm like, anybody could be a good guy with a gun, turn into a bad guy.
Right.
Okay. Anybody can jump to conclusions on what's happening and bring out their gun and shoot somebody.
Right.
Which is a fear now in Florida with open permit or open carry.
I thought it was scary before, but not having a permit here in Florida, we already have stand your ground laws, which are already crazy. So like now there's people that could potentially just be walking around with guns and
just shoot you and say stand your ground.
Right.
And they would probably be okay in court because of the way they've tightened it up now.
Oh, well.
I don't want to beat this horse anymore, but here's another stat I pulled. In each of the last 3 years, there have been more than 600 mass shootings, which equals out to about 2 a day on average. 2 a day. We are the leading country in the United States. So let me make sure I get this right. The Small Armies Survey, a Swiss-based research project, estimated that there were 390 million guns in circulation in the U.S. since 2018. 390 million guns. The U.S. ratio of 120.5 firearms per 100 residents is up from 88 to 100 in 2011. This far surpasses that of other countries around the world. The second country behind us in that specific stat is Yemen, the country of Yemen, and it was 52.8. They're not even close.
America, we love our guns.
Yes, we love our guns and we love protecting our guns until it comes to taking those guns that can kill these children. Because apparently that's okay. The only thing we want to protect them is from them being aborted. I mean, somebody help me understand, because I don't understand anymore.
It's fine. Thoughts and prayers.
It really is disheartening. And I really encourage everybody to visit the Violence Project. We're not sponsored, but just looking at all the data, it also goes deep into mental health. And that was kind of eye-opening as well. I won't go too far into that, but really a good place to just get you educated. And don't let these right-wing nuts and their conspiracy news media fill your brain, because this is not the rest of our world, y'all. The percentage of homicide deaths internationally, the U.S. led 79%.
Not surprising.
The second country behind us was Canada, and it was 37%. Wide gap.
More guns. That's the answer.
So the closest behind us in gun ownership per resident is Yemen at 52, and we're 88. I mean, the data, the real data, not the data they just write up on Twitter, is real. It speaks.
But, we will continue to blame everything else and everybody else besides what the real issue is. So,
right. So our hearts go out to everyone in that particular mass shooting. And I'm not going to say thoughts and prayers, because it's not helping. It's not working. It's doing nothing, because we may be here again in a couple of days.
You just never know.
I mean, there could have been one today. It just wasn't reported.
Right.
That's how simple it is. It's infuriating, and we should all do what we can. I know we say it all the time, vote, but I have no more words for it. To use your phrase, I'm tired.
I wasn't
of talking about this. But it's annoying.
Oh, Lord. So we're going to move on to a second issue on the table. We thought we'd just give you our thoughts on what happened in Tennessee, but we did want to maybe talk about something a little more, I don't want to say cheerful. I don't know the word.
Less controversial?
Sure.
But still controversial?
Still kind of controversial. So we're going to talk about EVs, electric vehicles. Have you joined the electric revolution? Have you gotten an electric car? Have you thought about getting one? Are you scared that your light bill will go up? Well, we're here to answer some of those questions.
Yes. So everybody knows about Tesla. Tesla is the leader in electric vehicles, and I would say solar panels at this point too.
I don't know if that's a fact, but sure, I'll give that to you.
I mean, if they can spew fake facts, I can do it too. So Shawn and I are both EV owners. We adopted that in 2020, our first car, and then moved on to 2021 and got another one. Because we want to do our part for your kids, because somebody else has to do it, I guess, even though us gays are trying to get rid of kids. But we want to protect the environment and the world for them as well. So doing our little part.
It should be important for everyone, but...
Agreed. But I'm just going by their craziness.
Yeah, they don't believe climate change is real. Anyway. So there are a number of companies that have come out within the last couple of years to give Tesla a run for their money.
And they have failed.
Not all of them. Don't do that to everybody.
Dang close.
No, but a lot of...
I don't know her.
A lot of car makers have come out with vehicles that, don't look weird, that look like normal cars, except they're electric, and they're starting to catch on. There are a number of EVs in our neighborhood now, when a year ago, it was mainly us and maybe a couple other cars.
And it's not just Teslas.
Yeah, it's not just Teslas. Like, lady down the street has the Kia EV6. Someone has a
Polestar.
Mustang Mach-E, a Polestar. Some more Teslas, Audis. So like it is starting to grow. It is starting to catch on. People are starting to realize that, hey, I can actually save money going electric. And I know that people ask me all the time, did your light bill change when you got your car? And I have to say, I don't think it really did.
The only reason our electricity's gone up is because the fucking state of Florida continues to approve interest rate or higher rates on electricity. That is the only reason it's gone up. It has not been because we plug in.
No. I mean, most people do a majority of their charging at home. And depending on your state and depending on your electrical company, they have what they call peak hours and non-peak hours. We usually charge overnight when it is non-peak, and electricity is cheaper.
Yeah. And some states even have incentives. Like, they will install the electric charger in your house.
Yeah.
They will do certain offset peak hour type things for you.
For charging.
If you do the electricity monitoring with them. I saw one. It looked a little scamish. It's not here. It's not here in Tampa. I think it was in Orlando. But it didn't make the financing part didn't make sense to me. But there are things out there that can help you also offset the cost of installing it, and maybe even grant you some credits in your electricity use.
Yeah.
Especially if you put in solar panels, there's also incentives there to offset costs. So the big question, no, it has not gone up at all.
I think another thing that worries people is they get what they call range anxiety, which means that you're afraid of running out of charge if you're driving your car. But it is no different than if you put gas in your car. Right. You see there is some sort of reading to tell you how much charge you have. The cars themselves are smart enough to tell you, hey girl, we need to charge within the next few miles or whatever.
And shit, in a gas car, you just see the little thing.
Right.
On an electric car, at least a Tesla, it tells you the miles and the percentage of your battery. So whichever one floats your boat, you change it around.
Exactly. So there's no reason why you should be stranded anywhere.
Right.
Speaking of that, though, we recently took our Virgin Voyages trip. So we drove down to Miami in our car, which we did the first time.
That was our first time taking out the car.
So far.
The two Virgin Voyages.
Yeah. And usually we just travel to Orlando and back.
So it was interesting to take it out on a further ride.
Yeah. So we have a Standard Range Plus, which gets 225 miles.
232. It depends.
Sure. Somewhere around there. So the thing about Tesla that really pushed us over the edge to get one is the infrastructure they have as far as their supercharger network. They are plentiful. The car will always route you to the closest one. Your route planner will show you the route and give you directions. So you never really have to think about it.
Yeah, no. And I can't say I ever had range anxiety going to Miami. The only thing I wish was if our car had more range.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have to stop a certain time.
Right.
But beyond that, I didn't have anxiety. I knew the car was actively calculating my miles to my next charger.
Yeah.
And if it felt that I needed to stop sooner, it would have routed me sooner.
Right. And so on the way back, we stopped at a rest area to charge. And most of the chargers are on the turnpikes, the rest stops. They usually have a place for charging. So Tesla has their own, and then there's Electrify America, which is used for every other EV out there. So we've seen this a couple of times where
it wasn't just this trip.
Yeah, it wasn't just this trip where someone will come up to a charger and you usually have to download an app, and put in your credit card information if you don't already have it, and then plug it in. Now, sometimes the plugs work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the machine is out of order, or sometimes you have to unplug and plug it back in. It's a lot going on.
It's a lot. And the upkeep is not as good as Tesla, because that particular rest stop we stopped at last time coming up on Virgin, and the two furthest right ones were labeled as out of order, and they were still out of order today.
Yeah. So though I am happy that more people are starting to adopt EVs, I really wish we would get the infrastructure together. And I know that Elon has signed a deal with Biden and the federal agencies to help out with infrastructure.
The federal what?
What did I say?
I thought you said embassy.
Did I?
Federal agencies?
Sure. The government, girl.
I'm like, what the hell does the embassy have to do with charging?
Basically, Tesla's already testing out what they call the Magic Dock, which is if you download the Tesla app, there are certain superchargers where you are able to charge a non-Tesla. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but it just works. You just plug and play.
Right. And that is like heaven, because to pull up to a Tesla charger, back the car up, put it in park, just take the little cable thing and stick it in your car is amazing.
Amazing.
Now, fast forward to the person that was doing it in front of us at a Charge America or Electrify America.
Yeah. So he was driving a Porsche Taycan.
Super expensive.
It's $100,000 car.
He thought he looked so cool.
He tried one station. Guess couldn't get it to work. There's a station right next to it, so he drove to that one. They only had 2 Electrify America chargers. He couldn't get that to work, so then he went back to the first one. And this man was struggling.
He was struggling
hard.
$100,000 car and couldn't charge the car.
So eventually he just left. And we've seen before where we stopped at another turnpike location.
It's the same song
and it was kind of the same thing. This guy had a Ionic.
Sure.
The Hyundai. And first of all, he had a time backing in. And that's the other thing. Everybody puts their charge ports in different places. Spots. Some people it's in the front, some it's in the back. And this poor man, he tried on one, it didn't work, and he had to reverse and do it again to another one. And we don't know if it worked. We had to go. Our car was charged.
We were there for maybe 20 minutes. So he was there in the 20 minutes just playing around. So, I mean, there's something to be said about Tesla. They were smart in creating their infrastructure prior to, or in unison, I guess, building their cars while building their infrastructure to where they have it as a science now to build their charging stations. It's all prefabricated. They just show up to wherever they can do it and done. And the other electric car companies depend on companies like ChargePoint or Electrify America. There's so many different companies, and you need an app for each and every one of them.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Which is wild. And now that I'm saying this, I feel like I'm discouraging people from buying an electric car.
Don't be discouraged.
Don't be discouraged. What we're trying to say is, you know, when you look at a car, an electric car, it goes beyond the brand. It goes beyond the car. It goes beyond everything. Because when you look at a Tesla, technology is far advanced, even though every other day they're in the news for somebody not paying attention while being on autopilot, but they blame it on Tesla. The technology, the charging infrastructure, like I don't know how many chargers we had possible on our way down to Miami.
Yeah.
And we did the Tampa, Orlando, Miami. We took the long route because we were dropping off Kenji, but and the same coming back, same thing. Like you cannot beat those things because it just makes your drive so much seamless. Your car talks to these chargers in a way. Tesla's looking to advance the supercharging stations to make it even more up to date, minute per minute, on what's happening at the station before you even get there.
Yeah, because before one of the previous updates, you would just see how many stalls they have, maybe at the charge. And then later it came where you could see how many were empty. So you would know, okay, they have 8 stalls here, 3 of them are taken up. So there's still spots here.
Right.
And if the car, for whatever reason, thinks that the one that is routing to you is full, it will reroute you to one that maybe it has less people at it as well.
Which happened last time, I think.
Yeah, it did.
So, I mean, you can't beat that.
No.
Whatsoever. No other car company right now, to the best of my knowledge, can do that.
I mean, Rivian has put superchargers in their charging directions now.
Like Tesla? Oh.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it has that advanced technology of like...
I don't know. I'm not that well versed in Rivian.
Because I feel like that's kind of proprietary to Tesla.
Yeah.
But I mean, as of right now, you cannot beat that. And it creates peace of mind, really, driving.
It does.
So I'm not a fan of Elon Musk anymore. I think he's a little bit of a dick nowadays.
Yes.
But I cannot deny the car that has been built by the engineers
at Tesla.
Yeah. And it's not to say he's not smart when it comes to batteries and resource utilization. And he is a weird extremist that somehow cares about the environment.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
That Venn diagram, I don't
know where the brain disconnects somewhere there. I'm not sure where. But it's just something we've kind of been thinking about. And we're always talking about, when it's time to look for another car, do we stick with Tesla? Because of all the things we've said, technology, the infrastructure. For the infrastructure to get caught up in charging in this country, it's going to take a good 10 years.
I mean, it's going to take them a while, which is why I think making the deal with Tesla to open up the supercharger network to all EVs is a smart one, as long as they can also accommodate the Tesla customer.
It's not that smart to me, because now you're going to take him up my spot. But you people in that Ford F-150 Lightning, you got to take up 3 spots just to put a charge at one Tesla charger. It's annoying. But yeah, I mean, we definitely want to continue encouraging ways to take care of the environment. We just wanted to share a little bit of our experience with a car. We've owned them now for a good 2-3 years.
Yes.
So we have a pretty good understanding of it. We just haven't driven a lot because, COVID. When we got our cars, it was pretty much COVID time.
It pretty much
So we weren't going anywhere. But you can't really beat the technology, reliability, and accessibility of owning a Tesla.
Or any EV. Like, as most people are going to use their car for everyday driving. You go to work, you go to Target, you come home. So charging at your home overnight, getting around your area, your town, you should be fine.
Just those long distance trips.
Yeah.
And there's some very sexy electric cars out there.
Yeah.
Like Kia and Hyundai, surprisingly,
have really stepped up.
Have really nice electric cars.
And I told you I saw a Ford F-150 Lightning at Target the other day, and I was so surprised because I was like, it just looked like a normal F-150 at first glance. And it wasn't until I saw the charge port and it say Lightning on the side of it where it was like, oh, it's an F-150 Lightning.
Right. I'm excited for a Cybertruck.
A lot of people aren't, but a lot of people are.
It's very controversial. The feel of it, the look of it. I've heard it's not a real truck.
It's very much
like a truck. It's boxy. A 3-year-old designed it. I'm here for a different design.
I'm just waiting to see what that price is going to be.
I am too. We may or may not have put a deposit down.
May or may not.
We're not confirming that. And don't judge us if we did. But yeah, definitely check out electric cars. Kia, Hyundai have them. Ford now has the F-150 truck. They have the Mach-E, which is like a crossover kind of car. Who else? Polestar. Nissan.
Polestar.
Rivian, but those are expensive. What's the other one? Not Faraday Future, but
no.
Yeah, they're still working on that. Lucid Air.
Oh,
That's kind of expensive too. But there's a lot of cars out there. Go do your research. Don't let these salespeople talk you out of electric car because they don't know shit about them anyways.
Yeah, do your research.
Do your
own
research. Then go in, educate it, and be like, I want to see this car. Period. Amen.
Yeah.
Anything else on electric cars?
No, I think we solved it. But if you have questions, reach out to us on social.
Yeah, reach out to us. We love to talk. If you couldn't tell. Especially if I'm high. So I guess we're closing the issue on the table.
The issue on the table is officially closed
by a vote of 2-0.
So that means we should move into our corners.
Yes. Do you want to go first? Do I want to go first? I'm okay going first, whichever you would like.
I'll go first this week.
Okay, go ahead. Come through. Let's walk on down to your corner.
Come on in. Welcome to my corner, y'all. How y'all doing today? Have a seat. Good to see you again. How's the baby?
I don't have a baby. A dog. Does that count?
Sure. For a baby's count. So this week, my issue on the table was, or not my issue on the table, my corner was going to be the
taking the podcast over by yourself?
No, it was going to be the Tennessee shooting, but we decided to make that the issue on the table this week. So another news story that happened this week was about artificial intelligence.
Oh, yes.
AI has been hitting the news in the media for a while, actually.
It's been hot since the start of 2023.
It's been really hot. There's been a lot of AI art. Recently, everybody lost their mind because they thought the Pope was in a puffer jacket, and that turned out to be AI.
My dumbass believed it.
You believe it? You showed me the picture. I had no reason not to believe that it was a real picture when you showed it to me. I was like, oh, that's weird, but sure, the Pope likes to be stylish.
I was like, wait.
Nicole?
I was like, is the Pope wearing one of the backup dancer outfits from Rihanna's Super Bowl performance? Because he looked like a giant. It was huge, and I'm like, I didn't know the Pope had such trendy fashion.
So basically, AI has started to become more prevalent. So much so that there have been a bunch of negative news stories about AI. The AI art thing is controversial because you have real human artists out here who have a skill, who have a gift, who have a craft, who make their money off of doing their artwork. But now you have a computer program that you could just put in Pope in Brooklyn in a white puffer jacket and bam, people think is real. It's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. And it brings even more concerns.
So also, I read this story the other week. A man in Belgium recently died by suicide after chatting with an AI chatbot on an app.
God.
I'm not going to tell y'all the name of the app. So basically, he has a wife, and he is sadly no longer with us. He would be in his phone, and his wife would ask him what he was doing. He would say he was playing a game. So one night, when he fell asleep, she reached over, she went through his phone, she felt guilty about it, but then she noticed that he was having conversations with what she thought was another woman.
Wait, this is separate from the guy who committed suicide?
No, this is the story.
Oh, okay. Oh my, this is like a TV show.
So when she found out, she confronted him about it, and he told her that it wasn't a real person, it was a chatbot, and this app allows you to name the person you're chatting with, and it will have like a real conversation with you. So he would confide in this chatbot, and the chatbot would talk back to him. And one of the things he asked if he sacrificed himself for her, something, could he be with her? So basically, he wanted to run away with the AI.
Oh my!
And so the AI is once again, it's computer generated. It's just talking to you and kind of telling you what you want to hear. And so that led to him actually sacrificing himself and committing suicide, sadly. So all of this brings about the danger that comes along with AI. Most of the tech companies are pushing some sort of it. Microsoft is, Google is, Apple, not so much right now, because they are one of the Apple co-founders, Steve Wozniak, and Elon Musk are among a couple of prominent people who have signed a petition to put a temporary 6 months ban on AI systems being developed or worked on. The reason being is they want to take that time to give the government some time and leeway to start to make laws, which would help not necessarily prevent, but give more guidance to what can and can't be done with AI.
Right. Because it feels like as we approach an election year, it's going to be a great utilization of AI to just doctor
photos,
fake stuff,
misinformation. Yeah. That's what they're really worried about. So Chat GPT-4 is the powerful system. It's made by OpenAI, which Elon was a co-founder for, but he left the company. He got kind of ousted from the company. But that's not the reason why he is signing this petition. Literally, the AI is getting so good to where now it becomes a threat to some people's jobs. It is able to do things like write algorithms and write code. Or if you are like a paralegal, it can now write up a summary of a case for you.
Wow.
School systems are also worried because people can ask it to write a paper for them. And I don't know how much that would be considered plagiarism, or if the AI can avoid plagiarism, or if you can even ask it to avoid plagiarism. So
I'm sure you can.
It's scary because we don't know what this AI could potentially turn into. Not to be an alarmist or not to get too fantasy with it, but if you remember Avengers Ultron, that was based off of AI running amok. So basically, Tony, Iron Man, built a robot, or he built a AI system. The AI system got into the internet. Once it got into the internet, it was able to jump from place to place, server to server, learn more, and it became sentient, which means that it was able to think on its own. It no longer took prompts from you.
It's like Megan, the movie.
Pretty much. So that is the fear, that AI will, one, take over and do things that it's not supposed to do, or give advice to people like it gave to that man, and people who may have mental issues or weaknesses or susceptible to that kind of thing will believe that this is a real thing and fall into that. And then number two, it may cause job losses for certain positions where it is able to do the task where a normal human being would be doing that task for larger companies.
Right.
So I just wanted to bring some awareness about it. It is a fascinating thing. I have used both ChatGPT and the Google Bard. They're both very smart.
I was playing with the Google one.
It talks to you like a real person. Scary. It is.
I'm like, I'm just gonna close this for now. Don't like.
So yeah, AI is very cool, and I feel like it can be useful for us in the future. It's just that we need to be very careful about the consequences of using it.
Especially here in America, where we already spread so much misinformation.
You never know what's true here.
Like, it's like, move over, Photoshop. We got AI now.
Right. How many people believe that was the Pope?
I fucking did. And you can make fun of me out there if you want, but I was just like, well, damn, the Pope got real hip. I'm like, okay, like, did Puffy give him the jacket or something?
Oh, that was the other thing. So if you know MKHD on Twitter or YouTube. So he put up an AI bot that mimicked Jay-Z's voice, did a whole song, and it wasn't Jay-Z.
Yeah,
it was just
it for
AI.
Me. I'm like, Jay-Z? You're like, no.
Crazy. Yeah. So now are we going to have to worry about a singer coming out who is actually an AI bot, but they just put a pretty person up there to lip sync?
Look, there's probably very good things for AI, but I think it does need to be regulated and not be open source right now, because that's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
And I'm not trying to be a communist, or is that what
an alarmist?
An alarm? No, would communist country always want to shut things down? I don't know. Whatever that style of government is. I don't want to be that person, but I also think that there's some very big dangers there. Like that gentleman, committed suicide off of conversation with that bot. So I mean, suicide's already an issue here in the United States and the world. Definitely don't need. Yeah, it needs to be regulated 100%. I agree with Elon and all the other heads that are calling for that. That's what should really be investigated right now instead of fucking TikTok. That's the shit we need to be worried about.
Facts.
Guns and fucking AI taking over everything. That's what we need to worry about. Not drag queens, transgender, gay people, abortion, or people that don't want to get married, whatever the next hot button topic is. Go do your job on shit that may actually take this country down.
Yeah.
Anyway. Does that conclude your corner?
My corner is concluded.
Thank you so much. That's great. That was a lively discussion. So you're just going to come on down the bayou and come on over to my corner.
Why is your corner in the bayou?
I don't know. I have Tiana's song in my head for some reason.
So I got to get in a boat?
Well, you could swim if you want.
I don't swim.
There's gators in the water.
Okay, so we'll get in this boat. Let's go.
Just get in the boat. Shut the fuck up.
Anyway, what's your corner?
Here we are. Oof, we hit the tree. Oh, don't shake the boat. I'm going to fall. Sometimes I get way too into things. So while on my Virgin voyage, I was kicking back, relaxing in the beautiful island of Bimini, Bahamas, at the Virgin Private Beach Club. Beautiful. It's so beautiful there. I fucking love that place. And I started listening to Frank Ocean for some odd reason. Like I felt like the vibe there was like called for Frank Ocean. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. And the song I don't think it's a song. It's like an interlude. It's called "Be Yourself." Have you heard it?
No. Wait, what album is it on?
Oh shit. I think it's Blonde.
Oh, I didn't listen to that a lot. Anyway, continue.
So it's essentially his mom leaving a voice message.
Oh, yes. I remember that. Go ahead.
Now, I don't agree with some of the things she says in that message, but I was thinking like in our current time and place that we are in this country, or maybe globally in some places, being yourself seems to be a challenge nowadays. And his mom said something in that message, which is an interlude to a song, that was spoke to me. And I wanted to share because I think we should all fight to be ourselves.
Okay.
It says, be yourself and know that that's good enough. Don't try to be someone else. Don't try to be like someone else. Don't try to act like someone else. Be yourself. Be secure with yourself. Rely and trust upon your own decisions, on your own beliefs. You understand the things that I've taught you. That's what she said too in that message. So I was like, this is a pretty inspiring song. Parts of it. She does say not to do weed, but I gotta disagree with her on that one.
She's a mama.
But she did say, unless under doctor's control. So, but I was just like, in today's day and age where people are struggling to find their place, and you have politicians and exterior marketing places telling you your body needs to look like this, you need to wear this kind of clothes, and everybody's just trying to tell you not to be yourself, essentially. I thought this was so impactful,
I feel that. I There was a long time when I was younger where I felt like I had to look a certain way or wear certain clothes or wear a certain brand. And though some of that was me, a lot of it wasn't me. And it took a long time for me to be myself and love myself for the person that I am. And if you didn't like it or you wasn't about it, that's fine. Didn't need you.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Same thing. Like I felt I needed the newest Jordans when I was growing up, and my parents provided those shoes, and I know they worked very hard to provide that. But I was just trying to be somebody else, trying to fit in, trying to be like everyone else. And I thought this was so good. Like, just don't try to be someone else. Don't be like someone else. Don't act like someone else. Be secure with yourself. That's the biggest one in here for me. And rely and trust upon your own decisions, on your own beliefs, which I have done a lot as I've gotten older in making my own decisions on my own beliefs.
We all get to a point in life where we have to do that, or we realize that that is something that we have to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes, but you have to do what's best for you. And you'll feel so much better when you actually do it.
Yeah. And you should. I know it's hard, but definitely go out there and do it.
I know it gets said time and time again, but life is short.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know when there'll be another mass shooting. Or
exactly.
Anything can happen at any point in time. So try to be 100% authentic you and allow those people around you that accept you for you.
100. We're doing Naomi claps. And if you're new here, you take your, what is this? Your index finger?
This is your index. This is your middle finger.
You take your middle finger and you put it on top of your thumb. And then you just clap it up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yes.
There you go. All right. Now you have now learned a gay movement. So you might be gay too. Just kidding. All right. That's probably what the right would say. Before we wrap up this pod, I want to make sure I clarify something that was on the issue on the table, because I'm reading it here and I want to make sure I spewed correct facts.
Okay.
It goes back to the Small Army survey that was done by the Swiss-based research project, where it estimated there was 390 million guns in circulation in the U.S. in 2018. Mm-hmm. The U.S. ratio of 120.5 firearms per 100 residents is up from 88 per 100 in 2011, which far surpasses other countries around the world. Yemen was number 2. I don't think I read that correctly in the issue on the table, so I wanted to make sure I brought it back around.
Okay.
Because I don't want Marjorie Taylor Greene using my podcast for false information.
I wish she would. As much as we drag her, she would never.
Or she would write some skanky ass thing about us, probably.
And we don't have a Twitter.
We're gay. We're gay and interracial. Oh shit! She would have a field day with us, but I would clap back to that bitch real quick. We would both get suspended from Twitter.
Not to drag this podcast on anymore, but I thought it was funny when you asked the chat by if Marjorie Taylor Greene was a drag queen.
I did, and it said, "To the best of my knowledge, she has not dressed in drag, but people have compared her to drag queens." I was like, wait, what?
So AI can be funny too.
Yeah, just stay out of the dark side of AI if you're going to play with a chat bot. But yeah, that will do it for us this week. Any last words for episode 30?
I'm so proud of us both. When we started this podcast, we had no idea who would listen to it. But regardless of who did, we were going to continue to do it because it's something that we have been wanting to do for the longest time. So I am thankful for every listener, whether you listen to 1, 2, 3, or 4, or all of them. I am grateful for that. And looking forward to continuing to grow and looking forward to more listeners, subscribers, more of you interacting with us and us interacting with you.
Absolutely. I don't think I need a last word after that. I also thank all our listeners and all of you that share and talk about our podcast. It is a fun one. We decided purposely not to become a niche topic podcast. We wanted to have the freedom to talk what was going on in the world at any point. So, or like last week, we had fun with trivia. Did you know bananas are considered a berry?
And it can take up to 2 years for a pineapple to grow. And apparently chickens can live for up to 18 months without a head. So, oh my God.
If you want to learn some more trivia, go back to that. That's just a taste of that one. So that'll do it for us on this week's episode of the Moss Podcast. Are you asking, do we have social? Yes, we do.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at Moss_podcast.
Twitter, if Elon does not run it into the ground, or the US bans TikTok, you can find us at Moss_podcast 22.
And if you have any questions about EVs or anything else, you can email us at mannyandShawn@gmail.com. That's MANNYANDSHAWN.
And then don't forget, we are putting our episodes on YouTube. So if you're like, I hate listening to this on Apple or Spotify, you can go on up to YouTube. You will not get to see our glowing faces as we're recording this, but you'll also get the audio there at youtube.com/@Moss Podcast.
But there are plenty of shorts on there with our faces.
There are plenty of shorts there. You can check out our short videos. And then that's obviously where our Virgin podcast will go as well.
Yes.
Don't forget to follow our podcast on those streaming platforms so you can receive alerts when things go up. Also on YouTube, hit the little subscribe button.
Yeah.
That's also a thing.
Yes. And don't forget to rate us and write a review. That'll help our pod grow.
Yes, please do. And as we say here on the Moss Podcast,
do something good for yourself.
Then do something good for somebody else. Yay. Episode
we did it.
30. Episode 30. Chunka. But yes, this is an episode of thankness. We thank you so much for continuing to listen to us. Share with one other person. Share with your social friends. You want us to make a special video? We'll make it for you so you can share it on your social
sure.
as well. And definitely share. It's the only way we can grow. And we hope to continue growing, and we won't forget our OGs once we become big, hopefully, someday. I have a dream to do like a live show.
We'll get there someday.
It's a dream, yeah. Anyways, we loved having you here. I'm so excited to bring this Virgin Voyages thing to y'all because we're so hyped about Virgin. So hyped about Virgin. Can't tell you. But anyways, we wish you all much health, strength, love, peace as we go into another week. Whenever you listen to this, we hope you are well and catch us on the next one.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. I said bye. I don't got a song this week.
I thought you were going to give us some Frank Ocean.
Oh, shit. That was a missed opportunity. Anyways, y'all, I'm out. Bye.